Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list. Welcome to my top 10 most underrated rom-coms. Yes, rom-coms. I like myself some good romantic comedies. Some of them completely fail. A lot of them do actually. They end up being formulaic, predictable, cliched, sometimes self-indulgent. It's just, yeah, they're just pretty dumb. They're just bad movies sometimes. But occasionally we get some really great, clever ones. But I'm here to talk about the underrated ones. The ones that a lot of people have either never seen or a lot of people just don't really seem to love, but I really seem to love and stuff. And yeah, let's talk about some rom-coms, people. So yeah, this is my top 10 personal favorite or underrated rom-coms. Not favorite, but underrated rom-coms. I had a bunch of honorable mentions, but I'm too lazy to name them, so let's just get to it. Coming in number 10 is Fools Rush In. Fools Rush In is a movie with Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek, and this is not a very well-received film. I enjoyed it, actually. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I actually liked watching this when I was younger, and I still think it holds up, actually. I like that, Matthew Perry in the movie, like, meets this girl at a party, they kind of hook up, and she gets pregnant, and then when she tells him that she gets pregnant, he just, like, kind of rushes into the marriage. They feel like they have to get married and just, rush into the relationship and stuff because she's pregnant, and that's what they feel like they have to do. But then they realize what they're doing is wrong because they don't really know each other. They don't know who each other are and stuff. They don't even know if they even genuinely like each other because they're just rushing into the relationship because he knocked her up and stuff. I enjoy Salma Hayek in this, and I enjoy Matthew Perry. I think both of them have good chemistry, and they work great off each other. And I like this scene when he meets her family. That was a really funny scene, actually. Some of the comedy in that scene would not hold up to today's standards, but I still think it's very, very funny. But yeah, I enjoy this movie. It's not a well-received film, but I don't care. I enjoy it. Coming in number 9 is She's Out of My League. She's Out of My League was a pretty enjoyable flick, actually, with Jay Baruchel and Alice Eve. And basically it's it's a lot about shallowness, how people judge people on their looks, but some people don't. And when people don't, and when they're with people and they seem more unattractive than that person, they feel like there's a different meaning behind it and stuff, and maybe there's a motive behind it all and stuff, and that's what happens in this movie when Jay Baruchel starts dating Alice Eve's character, and they call her like a 10 out of 10, and Jay Baruchel's like a 5 out of 10, and his buddies have no idea how he got a girl so attractive, and even Jay Baruchel starts questioning why she's dating him and stuff, but there is no rhyme or reason. It's because she's actually genuinely a good person. He's good for her and stuff. It's actually a very delightful and very good, feel-good romantic comedy with a good supporting cast like consists of T.J. Miller and Kristen Ritter, who are both really great in this film. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It's very predictable, but I still enjoyed it. Coming in number 8 is a movie called Sleeping with Other People. Sleeping with Other People is a pretty raunchy rom-com, but a raunchy rom-com that I really, really enjoy. This has Jason Sudeikis and Alison Brie. And basically it's about them and the relationship and how they start sleeping with other people, getting more, unexclusive and everything like that. Kind of, having an open relationship and everything like that. It's an interesting story with some very good laughs. And the film is carried mostly by Jason Sudeikis because he is really, really funny in this film. And he has some pretty hilarious lines. And there's a date scene that is very funny. And it's like the stealer of the whole film. But he does have good chemistry with Alison Brie. There are some touching moments here and there. And yeah, it's my kind of film. I enjoy it. Coming number 7 is Celeste and Jesse Forever. This is a genuinely great film with good writing and great performances by Rashada Jones and Jesse Eisenberg. And their relationship feels so real, and there's so much depth put into this relationship and about how they are basically perfect for each other, but will they end up with each other? Is this a relationship doomed to fail, or is it the best relationship ever? And I will never dare spoil how the movie ends, but it's a really good commentary on modern day relationships. And the writing for this film is super strong, and the natural chemistry between Jesse Eisenberg and Rashada Jones is just so fucking good. It's just like that. It's just like lightning in a bottle for this kind of chemistry. It's so fucking good. you couldn't pick any other actors to do this role. Like, it's very much Jesse Eisenberg and Rashada Jones, and I could tell a lot of this movie was also very improvisation. And it's done very well, very funny, very dramatic, with a great ending. Definitely check this one out if you haven't seen it. Comment number 6 is While You Were Sleeping. While You're Sleeping, I feel like if I did this list like 20 years ago, this would not be an underrated film, because I think this was pretty popular in the 90s, but since we're now in 2019, not really anyone's ever seen this movie. Every time I talk about this movie, everyone has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Which is sad, because this is such a delightful film. I think this is easily one of Sandra Bullock's best films. I love Bill Pullman in this movie as well, and I enjoyed the whole family in this film. I like this story and this concept about this guy in a coma and this girl that saved his life, and this family thinks the two of them are engaged and everything, and she doesn't even know who he is, and I think that's a really funny premise and a funny idea. And this movie is actually technically a Christmas movie as well, or a Thanksgiving movie, and it just works for me. It's so weird, such a wacky idea, and it just has such likable performances by the whole cast. It just works. And I find it so delightful and so feel good, and yeah, I love it. I love this film. Coming in number 5 is Truth About Cats and Dogs. Truth About Cats and Dogs is a really interesting story. It's a rom-com, but also about animals and everything like that. And oh my god, I forget the main girl in this movie. She plays in a lot of romantic comedies like Romeo and Michelle and other films like that. She's great in this movie. I love Uma Thurman. Jamie Foxx is a small role. This is a film that just was so under the radar. No one saw it. This came out in the 90s, and I didn't even see it up until like a couple of years ago, and I'm glad I saw it. It was really funny, very delightful. Again, it falls under that rom-com formula, but I think there's enough likability and genuine laughs that it's worth watching. It's not like one of those disposable throwaway rom-coms. This is actually genuinely feel good and genuinely great. And yeah, I'd recommend it. Comment number 4 is Enough Said. Enough Said is great. Enough Said. I'm surprised how much no one has seen this movie and no one gives this film a chance. This is one of James Gandolfini's last roles, so definitely check it out. It's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's almost excellent in everything. This is a genuinely real rom-com. And this is a very adult rom-com. Not because it's sexual, but it's very adult. It's about, like, these older people who are in their, like, late 40s, early 50s, and their kids are basically moving on, and they both are divorced, and they just kind of meet each other at a party, and they just kind of hit it off, and that's kind of it. It's just, like, almost kind of a slice-of-life rom-com. And then the comedy in this movie isn't, like, big laugh-out-loud moments. They're just chuckles throughout the whole film, and it keeps you going, and just it tries to focus more on the realism of the characters and the realism of the relationship. And I think the chemistry between both Gandolfini and Louis-Dreyfus are both spot on, and I really enjoyed it. And I think this is a very good film and very smartly done film, and yeah, definitely check it out. Comment number 3 is Love and Basketball. Love and Basketball, it's sort of a rom-com. I'm going to call it a rom-com because there is comedy a lot in it, and it is a romance. It's more of just a romance with drama and comedy sprinkled through it, but I'll call it a rom-com because no one's seen this movie, and they need to because it's fucking fantastic. Omar Epps is in it. He's great. The lead girl, I forgot her name too. She's in a lot of films. She's really great in as well. Basically about this couple. They lived next door to each other most of their lives, and as kids they didn't like each other. They always bumped heads, but they had this shared love for basketball, and they try to have a relationship as kids, but it doesn't work out. And as they grow up into teenagers, they both have this sort of love-hate relationship, but as they get older they actually start to spark feelings, genuine feelings for each other. But then, of course, like all relationship and high school relationships, they break and stuff. But as they grow up as adults, they both become like professional basketball players. Their lives intertwine with each other again, and they just try to realize, like, is love itself more important than basketball? And Omar Epps is in the movie. He's gonna get married, but he's questioning if he should get married and stuff. And maybe this girl, his childhood friend, is the woman of his dreams and stuff. And it's a really great movie. It's got a very emotional climax when they play basketball with each other. Such a great scene, and love this movie. It has so many good laughs, so many great character moments, and it's very real, very pure, and it has a lot of heart to it, and yeah, love this film. Coming number 2 is a film no one has ever seen, which is terrible because this is a great film. It's Playing by Heart. Playing by Heart, so good. Surprised no one's seen this movie. It has a huge cast. It has like Dennis Quaid, Angelina Jolie, Ryan Philippe, Jon Stewart, Gillian Anderson. Who the fuck else is in it? Gina Rollins is in it. Sean Connery. Big cast. It's basically an anthology rom-com, kind of like Love Actually and stuff. It's about different stories, different people, but they're all connected and stuff. And I know movies like this really fail, like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Mother's Day. He's just not that into you. Shit films like that fail, but this one is actually good. I actually got very, like, you know, invested with some of these stories, especially Angelina Jolie's story with Ryan Philippe when these two people meeting at a bar and stuff, and it was genuinely interesting. I like Sean Connery in the film. I love his constant movie references. It was really good. Gillian Anderson was very good. There's also a side story with Shirley MacLaine and Jay Moore, and her son is dying of HIV. It's like really genuinely sad and very emotional. It leaves an impact on you. And I feel like the ending was a little, you know, too happily ever after for me. I wish it was a little more realistic with its ending. But the film itself is still very good, has a big cast, and all give genuinely great performances. And the laughs are genuinely there, and the drama is really impactful, especially with Jay Moore and Shirley MacLaine. And I thought the writing was really strong, and I'm surprised no one's seen this movie, because I just watched this film the other day, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. It's not even a perfect film, but I still genuinely loved it and cared for these characters, and easily one of my favorite performances by Angelina Jolie, and yeah, I'm surprised she didn't do a lot of romantic comedies, but this one, genuinely awesome. And my number 1 favorite, or underrated rom-com, is obviously the Before Trilogy. Anytime I have a list with romance in it, I'm going to mention fucking Before Trilogy. I know it's critically praised, and I know it's not a straight rom-com, it's a drama, comedy, romance, but I'm still going to count it because I want to just do whatever it takes to mention this trilogy because everyone needs to watch it. The Before Trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight are beautiful, realistic films about like a real relationship. This is what real relationships are. People talking. That's what relationships are. That's what people do in this world. They talk. That's it. It's dialogue. And I love dialogue's like my favorite thing in films, and that's why these Before movies just like give me a hard on because dialogue, sweet dialogue. It's just great. I love Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke in both these films. All 3 of these films, sorry. Richard Linklater's direction is solid. I love how they each take place 9 years later in the films and in real life, and these are just great films, and they have great comedy, great character moments, great character arcs. You feel like you grow with these characters through each film. I genuinely love these films, and I think they're one of the greatest romance films I've ever seen, and easily the most underrated rom-coms of all time. So yeah, that's my top 10 most underrated rom-coms in my opinion. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, give me guys top 10 most underrated rom-coms in your opinion. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.